everyone, and welcome to episode 11 of Rapid Fire. Today's guest is Fiona, otherwise known as Poison Ivy Painting, and I'll just address something straight from the off. I don't usually champion hosting things in a hat, and I don't usually like it when people do. But in the UK, we are having serious lockdown haircut retrieving problems, so I'm just hiding the mop underneath all of this. But how are you doing, anyways?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm good. I'm trying to juggle hobby in between working, like you said, lockdown and everything. Can't see your friends. It has been a little bit challenging over the last year, hasn't it? But hopefully June we'll get back to normal.
That's the hope. Even if it's kind of into July, I think there'll be one or two stumbling blocks along the way. But by the back end of summer, I'm hoping that we'll be able to do things. But at least I think it's the May one where we in the UK can actually do one-to-one games. So
it is, yeah.
At least that will go a long way to helping. So
exactly,
as I always do on this show, the first thing we do is get the rapid fire challenge done. Obviously everybody wants to go for the top spot, but I'm sure you just want to beat Mr. Craddock as the main objective. Has he told you what his time was?
I think it was like a minute 20 something, wasn't it?
It was a minute 23.
Okay, I could do this.
Which means that he is currently second in the leaderboard, which is pretty good. So we'll do that, and then as I've got a bunch of questions specific for you, and we'll start fleshing out your hobby life. So without further ado, you give me a thumbs up when you're ready, and I will get the timer started, and we'll see how fast you can answer some questions.
Okay, let's do this. I'm ready.
Right. Your time starts now. How many years have you been in the hobby?
8.
What game systems do you follow?
All of them.
What are your current armies?
Too many to name.
What was your first miniature?
Blood Angels Librarian.
What was your first full army?
Necrons.
What model or unit have you enjoyed painting the most?
Nagash.
And what model or unit have you enjoyed painting the least?
My current Lumineth army.
What was the last model you fully completed?
Lumineth, Avalon, Stone King.
How much hobby time do you get per week?
Probably about 7 hours.
What is the current model you're working on?
Another Lumineth Battle Kettle.
What's your single favourite thing about the hobby?
The community.
What's your least favourite thing about the hobby?
Hobby elitists.
Who or what got you into the hobby?
My brother.
What keeps you in the hobby?
The community.
And what is your one hobby target for this year?
To do 2,000 points off of Lumineth.
That's it. So so Ben did it in 1 minute 23, as we stated. The top time was 1 minute and 11 seconds.
Okay.
You did it in 1 minute and 11 seconds. You are now joint top.
Way.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start bringing in like the part seconds, but 1 minute 11. That's quick. That's pretty quick. There's a slight thing in there about you, asking what your current armies are, and you just said too many. But we'll flesh that out.
Yeah, I've got about 10 armies.
I think a lot of people kind of suffer from that same thing. So
yeah.
Tell me more about how you then got into the hobby. You said that it was your brother, was it?
It was. So like my older brother and my brother-in-law did it years ago. Like years and years ago. You're talking when they were teenagers, and now we're like all we're all 30. And he was painting and stuff, and I've always been into the nerdy side anyway. Like I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh competitively, and I read comic books and things like that. So when I saw him getting back into it, I was like, can I just do one of your models for you? And I just absolutely loved it. And then when he went into store next, I went with him, and I ended up buying Necrons because I'm massive into Egyptology, so they kind of a little, you know, Egyptian-y with the monolith and things like that. So and he did 40k, he didn't do fantasy. If he did fantasy, then I definitely would have went with Tomb Kings. But yeah, so I kind of got drew in to that side, and I've never looked back.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So, so from painting your first model to now, I think it's safe to say you're a pretty decent painter from somebody who sees them. How have you adapted your painting style? Have you done tutorials? Have you watched YouTube videos? Like how have you adapted that?
I've kind of been self-taught. So like I don't actually watch that many videos on how to do things. I'm the type of person that will see something that looks really cool and then I'll try it myself. I kind of steer towards more pinks, blues and purples. I've discovered that is my palette, and that is what I will go to. I did have somebody when I first started painting at my local GW store who is an amazing painter, and he did help me a little bit because like I was using the wrong colors to dry brush and things like that, so he kind of like steered me for the first year or so. But other than that, it's kind of like, yeah, just been teaching myself like through trial and error, if that makes sense. Yeah,
I think that's one of the best ways. And I think something that's really awesome with you is that you've used your painting for good as well. I've obviously saw off and on, I think it was a few weeks ago now, that you did a 24-hour challenge in order to make some money, and I think that's still making money. So have you got plans for more of those? What made you take it up in the first place?
Well, we do a lot of charity fundraising at my work for Make-A-Wish, and the headquarters is actually around the corner from my workplace. And I know for a fact, because we know the people that work there, that the donations have stopped because, well, not stopped completely, but they've really decreased because of coronavirus. You can't do your normal like running and fundraising events. So I thought, well, what can I do to try and help that, you know? So I thought, well, I've seen people do 24-hour gaming challenges. Why can't I do something like a painting challenge? So, and that was like an idea that I got randomly at 4 o'clock in the morning. Don't ask me why. I get all these weird ideas at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I kind of feel like I have to go through with them. So then I was like, do you know what? I think I will. Let's just see. I only wanted to raise like 250 quid, and I ended up raising just under £1,000. So I was really, really happy with that. And I'm hoping to do another one for Make-A-Wish again, probably in a few months' time, but this time I'll do it slightly differently. So if you donate, there's a chance of winning like some prizes to try and boost that even more, because I've had a couple of people say, I've got old hobby that I don't want. It's still like on sprue. If you want to do it, I'll give you this so you can then use it as a fundraiser. So I think that was really cute for people to offer that. So
in the last episode, in episode 10, I had a very humbling experience talking to a guy called Big Mike. Obviously he's raised like $13,000 plus, and he does similar things. So he has like a 24-hour event, but does raffle giveaways of painted items and things like that. So, you know, if we had a version like that in the UK, because I think people in the UK would be more likely to take part, because, you know, winning a raffle prize in the States and then expecting somebody to ship it across, that's just not going to happen. But to have something like that in the UK, you know, to raise some money for charity would be pretty cool. So
that's what my plan is in the next few months, is to try and organize that and do like the same thing. So that'll be really good if I can sort of maybe have like organize it a bit more, because I literally gave myself like 2-3 weeks. This time I'll give myself a bit longer, so I can have like, if people want to guest on it, like join me for the stream and things like that as well. So yeah, that's in the works.
Yeah, I think especially when it's a 24-hour period, as interesting as I'm sure you are, people want a variety of other things kind of dropping in as well. So be able to have like, you know, little guest slots or whatever would be pretty cool.
It would be, yeah. That's my plan with that.
That's good. So you're obviously a regular on Twitch. This is not a a thing I've used for much more than watching some of the Warhammer community videos, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not much of a Twitch user. I don't really know how to use it all that well. But what is your schedule on there, and kind of, you know, what sort of videos are you putting on?
So it's every Wednesday at 8 UK time, and it's because I had like a lot of people ask me to do it. I didn't actually think about doing it, if I'm honest. I had a lot of people say, like, when I put on like my Instagram, like, ask me anything. When I get to a milestone, I'll be like, ask me anything so my new followers can get to know me. A lot of people are like, why don't you do Twitch? Would love to see how you do things, what you're working on, and like just chat with you and see what you're like as a person. Do you know what I mean? So I thought, do you know what, let's do that. So yeah, every Wednesday at 8 o'clock I do something. So like, I've done how I do my wet blending, I've done how I do my luminous bases, I'm planning on how to do my 40k bases. I also do like just hobby hangouts where I come up with different color schemes and just chat to people as I'm doing that. So it's kind of like a wide like variety. I want to do game when I can eventually. I'd like to do games on there because I do a lot of the gaming side as well. So yeah, it's just going to be a big mishmash of everything to do with the hobby, really. Yeah.
That's good. It obviously helps that, you know, you're comfortable with a camera, something I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with as I do this.
Yeah.
And I know that recently you did a similar type thing to what we do here, with, and I've forgotten the name of them, Rampage
Games. Yeah.
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 What do you find, like, how do you find it appearing on things like these and stuff like that?
I don't like it.
Okay.
I actually don't like the camera, believe it or not. It's something that, like, my first Twitch that I ever did, and even the 24-hour painting challenge, like things like that, people are like, oh, you know, you seem really nervous, but in the inside I'm probably having a breakdown. Because I always panic that the camera's gonna fall over, or the light's gonna switch off, or I'm gonna do something, or I'm gonna swear, or, you know. But yeah, like when I did the Twitch on Wednesday just gone, I didn't even think about it. It just happened. So I'm slowly, you know, getting past that. So you will too, obviously. It's just getting used to it, really.
You know, now I'm in episode 11. It's more comfortable, especially with the intros. If I was to go back and watch episode one's intro, I would probably be a lot more nervous looking than what I am now.
Yeah.
But the middle bit, this bit, talking back and forth with a bunch of questions, that's easy because everything's just written down and I just read what I've written. You know, that's the easy stuff. It's the stuff where you kind of have to kind of make stuff up on the spot. So your Instagram, obviously you started with the 40k side, but you seem to be a lot more leaned into the Age of Sigmar life.
I am now.
Now their models, like, I don't play Age of Sigmar. I've never bought an Age of Sigmar model, but the models that are being churned out for Age of Sigmar is absolutely insane. They are gorgeous. What are some of your favorites that you've either bought or not bought?
So the Gash is my all-time favorite. Like, I painted him 5 years on and off, and it paid off because I entered him in the Warhammer community painting competition and he got favorited and he was on the Warhammer community page. So that's like, and the Lumineth kind of like sucked me in, and I absolutely, as much as I say I don't like them, I do like them. It's kind of like a love hate at the moment that I have with them. And all the new stuff coming out on Saturday, I'm like, do I buy some? Do I not? Do I finish what I've got? Type thing. So I love the Daughters of Cain. I just love like the Cauldron of Blood and things like that. Do you know what? It's probably easier for me to say the models that I don't like in Age of Sigmar. Does that make sense? Because at the moment I'm just rambling. I'm like, I like these. I like these. I like these. But the ones I don't like is I don't like a lot of the chaos stuff. I'm not feeling chaos in Age of Sigmar. Even though I have like a Disciples of Tzeentch army, I actually don't have any of the chariots, any of the flamers, or any like screamers. It's mainly like Lord of Change and Zangors and things like that. So yeah, it's practically anything apart from chaos really in Age of Sigmar that I just want to own it all, really.
So yeah, obviously, because you somewhat glazed over the question earlier, so what armies do you have? What both in 40k and Age of Sigmar? Let's
Okay.
stick with those.
40k, I have Mechanicum, I have Custodes, I have Eldar, I have a little bit of Dark Eldar, I have Thousand Suns, I have a little bit of Scions, I don't have any Space Marines, I don't have any Tyranids, and I don't have any Orcs. So yeah, so I've basically got, oh, and I've got Harlequins as well. So yeah, I've got a lot of 40k. And Age of Sigmar, I literally have to, when I think of what armies I've literally got to envision a store and go through the shelves. That's how bad it is. So I've got Stormcast, I've got Daughters of Cain, I've got Luminous Realm Lords, I've got a little bit of Cities of Sigmar, I've got a little bit of Tomb Kings, actually, still. I've got Nagash, I've got some Nighthaunt, I've got Gloomspite Gits, I've got Disciples of Tzeentch. I feel like I've got another one, but I can't remember now. Gone. Oh, Carriage on Overlords. Yeah,
That's
there you go.
a lot. I don't think you'd have come joint first in the rapid fire challenge if you'd have listed all those off.
That's what I was like. It's too many to name.
that is quite a few. And obviously, I mean, how many of those do you use for games?
Well, do you know what? Like, they're all built, so I can use them for gaming. It's just they're not all painted. Well, they're not painted. But I quite like it like that because that means I can jump between different things. If I get bored of one, I can go to the other. But I do use them all for gaming. It just depends on what I want to take that day. My main reason to get armies done and painted is actually campaign weekends at Warhammer World. So be like, right, I've got 3 months, I can do this, let's get it done. But I don't have that at the moment. I don't have that motivation to properly get something done to a time frame. So I kind of miss that, because at the moment I'm just like, I can just do what I want. I don't really have to do anything in a time frame.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of missing the deadline at the moment to get stuff done. But,
so in terms of playing, your other half tells me you won't let him win.
I don't let anyone win.
he's come back to the hobby and been absolutely destroyed every single time he's played. Not necessarily against him, but what are some of your favorite in-game moments? You know, those moments that something happens and you're like, that is awesome, that's exactly why we play the game.
Do you know what, my favorite times to play games is actually at the campaign weekends at Warhammer World, because I don't go to, I can't remember what they're called, Throne of Skulls. I don't go to them, I go to the actual storytelling ones, and the people that go to them are just fantastic. And each game they come up with a different scenario, so you don't actually have to table your opponent, you just have to get all your models to the other side of the board. You've got to do this, you've got to do that. And because it's such a friendly atmosphere, that for me is the type of games that I prefer to play. But there was one game that I will remember forever, and I was playing my mate Dan. This is when Imperial Knights first came out, and I had my Necrons, and everyone's like, how are you supposed to kill an Imperial Knight? And I'm like, my Necron warriors have Gorse, and Gorse can wound anything at that point. It doesn't matter what the armor is on a 6, it automatically wounded. So I killed his Imperial Knight with a unit of warriors, and then it blew up. It blew up the scenery next to him, which then blew up his knight, which was on the other part of the scenery. So it kind of started a chain reaction from 10 Necron warriors.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you know what? That was the best game I've ever played in my life, because we were literally just wetting ourselves throughout the whole game from that one turn. It was hilarious. But yeah, it's just bits like that just make me laugh.
Yeah. So
yeah.
And I guess, is it, you mentioned earlier about how one of your least favorite things in the hobby is the elitist element of it. Is that what steers you away from the full tournament scene? Because I'm like you, I would much rather prefer to play in the narrative than straight up in tournaments. So what is it about the elitism that issues it, and is there also some of that elitist / gatekeeping that comes into it against you as being a female in the hobby?
Do you know what? Right. I actually don't have a problem with men in the hobby. Like, I know that other female hobbyists have. So I've never ever gone to an event, apart from one event, and I've gone to a lot where I've had issues with my gender. And the only reason why I had an issue was I was wearing this is my custodian's t-shirt. So I was wearing a t-shirt just like this. This is a men's t-shirt because they didn't have women's t-shirt back then. And the whole time he's just literally staring at my chest. And I'm like, I know I've got a nice t-shirt on, but can you not? You know, and he just continued doing it. So I had to, and I felt uncomfortable. So I had to go get one of the judge, I don't know what they're called, like the judge people, to come and have a word with him. That is literally the only issue I've had. The only other issue I've had is where I've gone into a store and they were like, "Are you here for your partner?" And I'm like, "I'm actually here to get the dice from this week's release." "Oh, is it for your partner?" And I'm like, "No, it's for me." "Oh, what armies do you do? Do you do Elder?" And I'm like, "I do, but that's a bit, why do you assume that all females do Elder? Because they're space elves. I'm actually here to buy dice and some Gloomspite," which, do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like the stereotypical thing. But other than that, I've been treated the same. And I feel like I'm really lucky with that, because I know that there's other females in the hobby. Like, there was a chat on Twitter and this woman's like, "Oh, there's this, I don't know who it was, but she's like, the reason why women don't do it is because we're not included and we need to have more things." And I'm like, I've won painting competitions, I've won Homes and Parade, I've done this, I've done this, I've done that, because I actually go out there and do it. There's nothing stopping you actually doing it because you're a woman. That's just you holding yourself back. You just gotta get out there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good good attitude to have with it. So what are some of the elitist things that you've personally experienced then, in terms of, because we all know they are out there, they try and make you feel stupid and stuff like that. So what have you experienced in terms of that?
Well, for me, it's like, at the end of the day, it's toys. It's a hobby and it's toys and it's there to be enjoyed. And if you don't want to paint it how it is in the box, you don't paint it how it is in the box. And if you want to convert a model to look slightly different, you convert that model. And I've seen it in life and on social media where people are like, "Oh, you can't paint it that color because it's not, this." And I'm like, I could do what I want. It's my hobby. I get enjoyment out of this. Like, my first ever army Necrons, I painted them metallic purple rather than silver. And people were like, "You can't do that." And I was like, "Why? Why can't I do that?" "Oh, because Necrons are supposed to be silver or gold." And I'm like, "Well, just watch me." And I ended up doing, winning the Stores Army 1 parade with them. And my Magnus the Red is actually blue because I was like, I'm not very good at painting red. So do you know what? I'm going to paint him blue and purple because he's inked anyway. So it's people like that who like tell people what they can and can't do with their own hobby because it's not law or it's not right in their opinion.
Yeah.
And like people who take gaming too seriously, it is a game at the end of the day. And if some people are new and they are learning, just show a bit of respect and help them. I've seen it too many times where people go to events or go somewhere and they're like, "I'm really sorry, I'm new, I'm still learning, I'm really sorry if I'm slow." And the guy's like, "Well, why are you here then? This is an event, you should know your rules by now." And I'm like, that's not the way to be.
No, I had something similar. I was probably about 14 years old and it was a doubles tournament, but it was a case of, you don't make your doubles beforehand, you turn up and you get paired with someone.
Yeah.
And I basically was paired with a guy and basically because he knew that I hadn't been playing for very long and hadn't done tournaments and stuff, and I think that was literally possibly the second time I'd done something of that nature, he basically went to the guy in charge and was like, "Can you put me with somebody else?" And the guy in charge was like, "Well, no, it just kind of goes against the spirit of what this is supposed to be." Yeah. And then there was an older guy, I remember him, he was called John, and he basically said, "I'll take him." He said, "Oh, if you don't want him, I'll take him." And I learned more from that guy because he was like, so what's your experience? And I said, oh, you know, I'd played less than probably 10 games at that time, and 3 of those had been as part of a tournament. And yeah, literally I'd gone from this elitist prick, there's no other way to put it, to this other guy who was probably twice the age of anybody else that was there. He was easily in his 50s, yet he was the one that was like, nah, come over here, I'll show you what you do, and I'll teach you. And yeah, he kind of helped me through the tournament. We didn't do very well, probably my fault, but he at least still was willing to take a chance on the young guy, and I thought that was pretty cool. But the guy, you know, I don't remember him. He was just some elitist prick. But the nice guy is the one I remember vividly in my head, and I think that's what you've got to try and remember sometimes.
Exactly.
So, what are then? Obviously, I know you want to do more of the charity challenges. But what are some of your other hobby plans for the next kind of 12 months?
So I want to get like a sizable Luminous army done.
Yep.
So when Warhammer World eventually opens up to campaign weekends again, I'll have an army ready to go. I want to paint some Necrons. So one of my plans for this year is I've got half an Indomitus. I can't pronounce that word. Indomitus box, and I want to do Necrons again in the scheme that I did first.
The metallic purple.
Slightly different, yeah.
Okay.
But slightly different, so I can like compare how I've done over the last, years and whatever.
It's a lot more acceptable now, you know, in terms of the elitists, because obviously Games Workshop came out and put bone-coloured ones and all different coloured Necrons to basically back up what people have been saying all along. You paint the miniature how you rule of cool over everything, isn't it?
Exactly. So that's what I'm going to do. So I wanted to do 1,500 points worth of 40k, which would be Necrons. My Luminous, 1,500 points of another AOS army, which I haven't quite decided yet. And I wanted to start painting board game miniatures as well. So I've been painting like these little chibi Super Dungeon Explore board game miniatures. And yeah, do charity fundraising. So that has been my plan, and I'm doing all right with it so far, like 3 months in. So just gotta keep up the momentum, really.
Of course, yeah. So one of the last questions that I always pose to people is about knowing what your hobbies are away from the hobby. So what else sustains you?
Board games. Love board games. Like I don't really like have any bad word to say about board games. You can play with your family, play with your friends, like you get to like people together. I like anything to do with Disney. Like I am obsessed with Disney. I watch anime, I read a lot of books. I've quite a few different hobbies, but my main one is Warhammer and board games.
I think most people accept that this is the one that kind of takes over your life. But you know, it's good to have the other things. And is that Baby Yoda I can see on your arm?
It
is. Or the child, to give it its
the Grogu.
And
then I've got BB-8 on the inside. It's gonna be a Star Wars sleeve.
Well, as you can see, I've got. Oh, hang on. There we go. Similar to the rebellion, but Oh, that's all the questions I've got for you today. So,
nice.
You know, thanks for coming on. Obviously, you're now at the joint top of the leaderboard, which is you know, an awesome thing in itself. And I think anybody watching this, if they follow me and not you, they're a bit of an idiot. But I would just encourage any of you to go, and below Fiona's name will be the website for basically find the link tree, I think it's called, where it's got absolutely everything that to follow you and help you with the charitable causes and things like that. I think that would be more important to put up for you instead of just like the username, because it's something that helps out a lot more people. So exactly. And obviously, if you're interested in following Fiona on Twitch, Wednesdays at 8. So now I've got a Twitch account, which I've only had for like a little while, that I've actually started going in and trying to follow people. I'll try and drop in some Wednesday.
Perfect.
But in the meantime and in between time, thank you very much for being part of this.
Thank you.
And thank you all for watching.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.